The next command I'm going to show you is the scale command, which is up here. Keyboard shortcut for the scale command is SC for scale. When you click on the scale command and start it, you do the same thing. You select the object, hit enter, or right click on the mouse, select the base point from where you want to scale the object. Now this is where this changes. You want to read the command prompt which says specify scale factor or copy reference, which means you have three options. You can either specify the scale factor, copy this object, or use a reference. We're going to use the first option, which is a default option, which is a scale factor. And scale factor is very similar to something like when you say twice its size, 3 times its size, 4 times its size. The 4, 3, 2 are scale factors. So if I wanted to make this object 2 times its size, then I would type 2 and hit enter, and this object is 2 times its size. If I wanted to make it half its size, I go back to scale, select the object, hit enter, select the base point, and at this time I'm going to make it half its size, which is 0.5 of its size. So I'm going to type 0.5 and hit enter, and it's back to its half size. So scale factor is pretty easy to understand. Now if you had something in mind, for example, this box is 2 inches by 2 inches and you wanted to make it 3 inches or 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches, then you would have to use something like reference if you didn't want to do the math. Before you use the scale by reference option, you have to create a reference line. Okay, so if I want to make this 3.5 in length, then I would draw a line from this end point, drag my mouse here and type 3.5 as the length. Now I know that I want my box to be this length, and because it's a square, it's going to grow proportionately. So I go back to scale, select the object, hit enter, select this as the base point, and now at this point, instead of typing anything for a number like a 2, 4, or 5, I type R for reference. And then CAD is going to ask you if you read the command prompt to specify reference length. This is the existing length of the object. So you click from endpoint here to this endpoint to say this is the existing length. The next thing it's going to ask you is specify new length. At this point, all you want to do is drag your mouse till you snap on to the end point of the reference line that you created and click, and your box is now the size that you wanted it to be. And you can delete one of those lines if you wanted to, using your window selection. So all you do is drag from left to right. So all you select is that one line that is completely enclosed in the box and delete it, and now you have a clean drawing. Say you wanted to scale this object disproportionately. Say you wanted to make it longer along one side. Then you would have to use a command like stretch. Now this is where the stretch command is a little different. When you click on stretch, the keyboard shortcut for that is ST. You still get a pick box, but if you click the box and select the entire box and hit enter and then use the stretch command, it is only going to move the object. To actually stretch the box, you will have to use a crossing window while in the stretch command to stretch only one side of it. This is how it works. When you start the stretch command and your cursor changes to a pick box, you decide if you want to stretch this side of the object, just this side, then you draw a crossing window across to select about a third of the box and then hit enter. Then you can specify the base point, which is this, and then you can drag it out to stretch it only on one side. You can either do this graphically, or if you have a specific dimension in mind, say 3 inches, then you type 3 inches at this point and the box gets stretched by 3 inches. If I wanted to do that again on the top side, I would go to stretch, use a crossing window, the green one, not the blue one. Use a crossing window, select the top 1/3 part, hit enter, pick the base point, and then stretch it out. If I wanted to stretch this out by, let's say 5 inches, then I'll stretch it out by 5 inches and I've just stretched my box. So when you just want to make anything larger proportionately, you would use the scale tool. When you wanted to stretch one side of it, you would use the stretch tool. The difference is that you have to use a crossing window, which is a green window going from right to left to select the entire side that you want to stretch out. Other tools under the modified toolbar that you're predominantly going to use are lengthen, there's break at 2 points, and break at a point, and then array. offset, fillet, and trim. Underneath trim, you have the option for extend. Underneath fillet, you have the option for chamfer. Now, I'm going to show you how to use the fillet and the chamfer command. A fillet is going to give you a rounded edge to an object, and the chamfer command is going to give you an angular beveled edge for an object. And you can decide how much of a bevel if you want. So if you look at the graphic on the screen, you can have 2 inches by 1 inches, or it could be proportionate 2 inches by 2 inches.